Sausage.
Hello everyone, this is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Marc, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Dark Void, aka the Rocketeer the video game, aka the game that makes Anthem look like Mass Effect 2, aka the game starring Nathan Drake except it isn't Nathan Drake, aka Dark Void, the game where you get a jetpack and think it's going to be awesome, but quickly learn that it's anything but. Dark Void originally came out on January 19th, 2010 for PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. There was also a spin-off 8-bit inspired game called Dark Void Zero that came out for DSiWare, PC, and iOS, and is supposed to be pretty good, but sadly, I'm not here to talk about Zero, but the zero of a game by the name of just Dark Void, sans the Zero. I probably should have played Zero instead, but Dark Void proper has always been one of those games I've been curious to play, wondering, once again, how bad could it really be? The answer is pretty bad, but by no means unplayable. Dark Void is simply mediocre in almost every way, from the shooting to the flying to the story and everything in between. Dark Void is fine at best and shitty at its worst. The one aspect I liked were the environments. I found many of the environments, when on foot, to be pleasant to look at, though the open areas you're flying in aren't as pleasant, but that's it. I guess the visuals as a whole aren't terrible, but the rest of the game hangs around that meh area of mehness, with boring robot things for enemies, some of which are controlled by giant slugs that lack inspiration, and a forgettable story that so badly wants to be an Uncharted game. The problem, though, is that the game is incredibly boring. I struggled to make it through even just an hour of continuous play without falling asleep during the middle of a gunfight. Part of that is because the normal difficulty is too easy, and I probably should have switched over to hard, but when the shooting itself wasn't satisfying, I found little reason to make the game more challenging when I just wanted to get through it as quickly as possible. The gunplay is your basic third-person cover-based shooter, but with a twist. While you have many gunfights on land, you'll also have a few while traversing up some large structure or mountainside. It works the same as a cover-based shooter on land, but instead of being able to walk or run to a new piece of cover, you use your jetpack to fly there instead. It's kind of neat the first time you fight in such a literally sideways way, but it doesn't take long for that new car smell to dissipate and leave you with nothing but more bland, empty gameplay. Then there's the jetpack. You can use the jetpack during firefights, of course, and it's required for the aforementioned vertical firefights, but wait, there's more. You'll also fight against spaceships in the sky, and this is where things go from fine to shitty. The first time you gain the ability to fly, ignoring the opening kind of but not really tutorial, it seems promising. Promising because the animation of Sir William Augustus Gray flying looks great and reminds me of Anthem's flying animations, or more accurately, the flying animations in Anthem remind me of said animations in Dark Void. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the folk over at BioWare played Dark Void and said, hey, what if we made a game with jetpacks where the flying was actually satisfying? And to their credit, BioWare did just that. They just forgot to make the rest of the game satisfying. Now that I think about it, if BioWare wanted Anthem to become a smashing success, they should have just forced everyone to play Dark Void first, because when I think back on how much I didn't enjoy Anthem, when compared to Dark Void, Anthem is great. Anthem is amazing. Anthem might just be the greatest game of all time. But I didn't play Dark Void first, so Anthem was shit out of luck. Speaking of Anthem and shit, you should check out my Attack the Backlog episode about Anthem, where I wasn't colored by the stink of Dark Void. You know what else can be called Dark Void and stinks? A butthole. And like a butthole, Dark Void stinks. You know, because it's full of shit. Like a butthole. After the initial promise of flying ends, which only lasts a few seconds, reality kicks in. Flying in Dark Void sucks, and sucks for multiple reasons. First and foremost, you never feel like you're flying in the sky with a jetpack attached to your back. Instead, it feels like you're swimming through mud, even when boosting. Part of the problem is that you're stuck flying in what are relatively small spaces or escorting large and slow structures, so moving fast would be detrimental to the situations you find yourself in, but that still doesn't make not being able to fly fast any more tolerable. What's even worse is that combat while flying feels terrible and would benefit greatly from some generous aim assist. Trying to hit a flying saucer is a pain in the ass when flying thanks to a wonky camera and a lock-on view that only exacerbates the camera's issues. What should have been the standout sections of the game ended up being the worst sections, and I dreaded every time I was forced to fly and fight enemies in the sky. The story and pacing is a bit of a mess as well. The game is broken up into 3 episodes of 4 to 6 chapters apiece, and some of the chapters don't even need to exist. There is a chapter in the first episode that literally consists of walk to village, get scolded by village elder, leave village, the end. That whole chapter could have been and should have been a cutscene. Then there's a chapter in the 3rd episode that's nothing but a long, and I must stress, long turret section, like 20 minutes long, and by like, I mean it's just under 20 minutes and feels like 20 hours as you protect this rebel ship that makes a snail seem like a racehorse. Then there's the story starring some dude whose name doesn't matter because it's obvious they were trying to create a Nathan Drake-like and figured all they needed to do was hire Nolan North and tell him to do his Nathan Drake voice. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. What we're left with is this weird story about aliens, the chosen one, and a flimsy romance that wants so badly to be interesting and fails on all fronts. The characters suck, the story sucks, and even the voice acting sucks because it doesn't sound like any of the actors, Nolan North included, care about what they're saying. So if they don't care, why should I? And that begs the question, should you care about Dark Void? Is there any redeeming quality of Dark Void? Is Dark Void worth playing now 10 plus years after its initial release? The answer to all of those questions is, unsurprisingly, no. There is nothing about Dark Void that hasn't been done better in one game or many games, and the story fails to make up for the fact that playing the game sucks. Even the weapons suck, consisting of a handful of guns, only 2 of which are satisfying to use. Dark Void is simply a mess with no redeeming qualities. If you're like me and have had the game in your backlog for years and years, I'm giving you permission to scratch it off your list and throw any memories of its existence where they belong, in a deep, deep, deep dark void. Anyway, that will do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Marc. Y'all can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere at PXSausage. The site is, of course, pixelatedsausage.com, where you can find this podcast and the Pixelated Sausage podcast, all of which are available on podcast services across the globe. You can also check out the video version of this show if you aren't already doing so over at youtube.com/pixelatedsausage. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell, or don't. That's fine. I don't care. I mean, I do care. It would be very nice of you to do that, but you don't have to. If you like to check out the art I make, you can go back to the site pixelatedsausage.com, and if you see something you like, you can purchase a print of the piece you fancy. And if you fancy the site in general and anything that we do, please go over to patreon.com/pxs and support us that way. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
I think that did it!
The Ark is free!
Nice work, sir.
Yeah, you really saved our hide out there.
What? Did somebody get hurt?
Tesla's dead.
What?
That's not possible.
Killed in cold blood by someone on board.
What the hell?